I still remember the day my stepmother told me I was going to get married. I didn't say yes. I didn't even understand what she meant at first. But she looked at me with cold eyes and said, "You don't have a choice." Those words stayed in my head like a storm that never stopped. My name is Lena. I was 18 years old when everything changed. Before that, my life was not perfect. But it was peaceful. I lived with my father in a small house. My mother passed away when I was very young, so I don't remember her face clearly. But I remember her voice, soft and warm. My father used to smile more back then. Everything changed when he married my stepmother, D.A. Meyer. At first, she acted kind. She cooked my favorite food. She asked me about school. She even bought me a dress once. I thought maybe things would be okay. But slowly her true self came out. It started with small things. "Why are you so slow?" she would say when I cleaned the house. "Other girls your age are better," she would add with a sharp voice. I tried to be better. I woke up early. I cleaned everything. I cooked when she told me. But nothing was enough. My father, he changed, too. He stopped talking to me like before. When I tried to tell him how I felt, he would just say, "Listen to your stepmother. She knows what is best." Those words hurt me more than anything. Because he used to protect me. Now he just watched. Or maybe he chose not to see. One evening I came home from school and found Dea sitting in the living room. She was smiling, but it didn't feel warm. It felt wrong. "Come here, Lena," she said. I walked slowly and sat down. She looked at me from head to toe. "You are not a child anymore," she said. I stayed quiet. She continued. "You need to think about your future." I didn't understand. "I want to finish school," I said softly. She laughed. "School? That is not important for you." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" I asked. She leaned closer. "I found a good man for you." I froze. "Ah, a man," I said. "Yes," she said proudly. "He has money. He has a house. He will take care of you." "I don't want that," I said quickly. "I want to study. I want to choose my own life." Her smile disappeared. "You are not in a position to choose," she said coldly. At that moment, my father walked into the room. "Baba," I said, my voice shaking. "Please tell her I don't want this." He looked at me, then at her. Then he sighed. "It's a good opportunity," he said. I felt like my chest was breaking. "Good? For who?" I asked. "For you," he replied. But his voice was weak. "No," I said, shaking my head. "This is not my dream." Demaya stood up suddenly. "Dream?" she said loudly. "Dreams don't feed you. Dreams don't give you a house." Tears filled my eyes. "I don't care," I said. "I don't want to marry someone I don't know." She stepped closer to me. "You will do as I say," she whispered. I looked at my father again. He didn't say anything. That silence, it hurt more than her words. From that day, everything became worse. She stopped letting me go out with friends. She checked my phone. She gave me more housework. "If you want to stay in this house," she said, "you follow my rules." I felt like a prisoner. One night, I heard her talking on the phone. "Yes," she said. "She is young and quiet. She will be a good wife." My hands started to shake. They were talking about me like I was an object, not a person, not a daughter, just something to give away. The next morning, she handed me a dress. "Wear this," she said. "Why?" I asked. "You will meet him today." My heart started beating fast. "No," I said, stepping back. Her face turned dark. "Don't make this difficult." I said no, I repeated, but my voice was weak. She grabbed my arm tightly. "You think you have power," she said. "You have nothing." I pulled my arm away. "I have myself," I said. She laughed. "We will see." That day, I locked myself in my room. I cried for hours. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have money. I didn't have anyone to help me. And my own father didn't stand on my side. That night, he knocked on my door. "Lena," he said softly. I opened it slowly. "Why are you doing this to me?" I asked. He looked tired. "I'm not doing anything," he said. "I just want a better life for you." "This is not better," I said. "This is not my choice." He looked down. "Sometimes we don't get to choose," he said. Those words broke something inside me because I knew if I stayed silent, they would take my life away from me and no one would stop them. That was the moment I realized I was completely alone. After that night, the house no longer felt like my home. It felt like a place where I was waiting for something bad to happen. Dalmaya became more strict every day. She watched everything I did. If I sat for too long, she would shout, "Why are you being lazy?" If I tried to study, she would say, "Stop wasting time. Books won't help you now." One morning, I woke up early to read my school notes. I wanted to hold on to something that still felt like mine. But she walked in and took the book from my hands. "You still don't understand, do you?" she said. "I just want to finish school," I replied quietly. She threw the book on the floor. "You don't need school where you're going." Her words made my stomach twist. "Where am I going?" I asked, even though I already knew. "To your husband's house," she said with a cold smile. I picked up my book, but I couldn't read anymore. The words became blurry. That same day, she told me to clean the whole house again. I had already cleaned it in some morning. "Why again?" I asked. "Because I said so," she replied. I stayed silent and started cleaning. But inside, I felt something growing. Not just sadness anymore, something Get ready, he said. I already told her no. I replied. You don't understand the situation. He said, I understand enough. I said, you are forcing me. His face became hard. No one is forcing you, he said. I stood up. Then I can say no, right? I asked. He didn't answer. I felt anger rising inside me. Say it, I said. Say I can refuse. He stayed silent. That silence again. It was always his answer. I laughed, but it sounded broken. You can't even say it, I said. Before he could reply, Demaya walked back in. She wasn't smiling anymore. Enough talking, she said. Then two women I didn't know came into the room. Help her get ready, Demaya told them. My heart started racing. What is this? I asked. No one answered. The women walked toward me. Please, one of them said softly. Don't make trouble. I stepped back. Don't touch me, I said. But they didn't stop. They held my arms. Let go, I shouted. I struggled, but they were stronger. Tears fell down my face. Baba, I cried. Please. I looked at my father. He was standing near the door, watching, not moving, not helping. That was the moment. The moment everything broke. He didn't look away this time. He looked straight at me and still he did nothing. The women dressed me like I was a doll. They fixed my hair. They put makeup on my face. I couldn't stop crying, but no one cared. When they finished, Demaya looked at me. Perfect, she said. I looked in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself. The girl in the mirror looked quiet, empty, like she had already given up. Let's go, Demaya said. I didn't move. I'm not going, I whispered. Her eyes became cold again. You don't have a choice, she said. Then she turned to my father. Tell her, she said. He walked closer to me. For a moment, I thought, maybe now. Maybe now he will stop this. Maybe he will finally protect me. But then he said something I will never forget. If you don't go, he said slowly, don't call me your father anymore. My heart stopped. I felt like the ground disappeared under my feet. What? I whispered. You heard me, he said. I stared at him. The man I trusted. The man I loved. The man who was supposed to protect me. He chose them over me. I am your daughter, I said, my voice shaking. Then act like it, he replied. Those words, they destroyed me because I realized something very painful. To him, being a good daughter meant being silent. Obeying, giving up my life for them. I couldn't breathe. Tears kept falling, but I didn't even feel them anymore. Everything inside me felt numb. Fine, I said quietly. They both looked at me. I'll go, I continued. Demaya smiled again. I knew you would understand, she said. But she didn't understand. Not at all. Because in that moment, something inside me changed forever. They took me to the engagement ceremony. There were many people, music, food, smiles. Everyone looked happy except me. I sat next to the man. He smiled at the guests. Then he leaned closer to me. "Don't worry," he said. "You will get used to this." I turned my face away. I felt sick. I felt trapped. I felt gone. The ceremony started. People clapped. They talked about our future. They talked about happiness. But all I could hear was noise. Empty noise. Then someone brought the rings. My hands started shaking again. This is it. I thought this is where I lose everything. The man picked up a ring. He reached for my hand. I looked at my father one last time, hoping, begging silently. But he didn't look at me. He was smiling, talking to someone like nothing was wrong. That was the final betrayal. Not the forcing, not the shouting, not the control, but the fact that he acted like it was normal, like my pain didn't exist. Something broke inside me completely. The man held my hand tighter. "Stay still," he whispered. And in that moment, I stopped crying. I stopped shaking. I stopped feeling afraid because the pain was too much. And when pain becomes too much, it changes into something else, something stronger. I slowly pulled my hand away. The room became quiet. Everyone looked at me. My heart was beating fast again. But this time it was different. I stood up. "I can't do this," I said. My voice was not shaking anymore. It was clear, strong, and for the first time, I felt like myself again. The room went silent. No music, no talking, just eyes. All on me. "I can't do this," I said again. My voice was calm now, stronger than before. The man stood up quickly. "What are you doing?" he asked, his face angry. "I'm choosing my life," I replied. Demaya rushed toward me. "Sit down," she whispered through her teeth. "Don't embarrass us." I shook my head. "I am not your property," I said. Gasps filled the room. People started whispering, "She is crazy. What is happening? This is shameful." I didn't care anymore. For the first time, I really didn't care what they thought. My father walked toward me. His face was red. "You are making a mistake," he said. "No," I answered. "I was making a mistake before. Now I am fixing it." He looked shocked. "After everything we did for you," he said. I felt a deep pain in my chest. "Everything?" I repeated. "You mean forcing me, selling my future?" "Stop talking like that," he shouted. But I didn't stop. "You didn't listen to me," I said. "You didn't protect me." His expression changed. For a moment, I saw something in his eyes. Guilt. But it was too late. The man stepped forward. "This is unacceptable," he said. "You agreed to this marriage.